this week, the Transport Minister Fikile Mbalula announced his plans for public transport as part of his budget speech. He said government will work to try and improve the railway network, which was so badly damaged during the lockdown. But we also know how bad the situation is at PRASA. In what frankly has just been the most amazing story, 3,000 ghost workers had received a salary for a fairly long time. These are people who did not exist, and yet money was being paid into a bank account as if they did. Kwazi Dlamini is investigative reporter for the organisation Corruption Watch. Kwazi, good afternoon to you. You've been investigating the situation at PRASA. I mean, how would you even begin to describe the situation within that organisation right now?
Thanks for having me. I think things have been quite bad for a while now at PRASA, and they have been trying to salvage the situation. But I believe that it's going to take a while for them to get there. And in order to fix PRASA, there should be a willingness to do that, because issues like security and the protection of the infrastructure have been going on for a while now. And it has been a result of poor management. And with a competent management, they should have been able to come up with a plan by now on how they will solve the situation. And yeah, this might take a while for them to fix, but they should start somewhere, because people are still are complaining about the prices of transport, and the rail service is the one that people usually use because of its cheaper cost.
When we have so many ghost workers in an organisation, it seems to me that either there's no control at all, or that the people who are in control are corrupt. I mean, am I being too simplistic to look at it like that?
I wouldn't say no, because even the Minister of Transport, Minsiter Fikile Mbalula, also considered that PRASA has management negligence issues, which means that people in key positions are not doing their job, and issues that over 3,000 ghost workers can be attributed to the lack of management at PRASA.
The big issues around all sorts of things that often come down to safety. And I mean, people using trains don't feel safe, but the railways, the actual metal on the ground, is not safe. It keeps being stolen. And this is a major problem. I mean, it's a really big problem, because this is infrastructure that is not in ordinary circumstances, wouldn't be protected. You don't put a fence next to a railway line unless you're trying to stop people running across the railway line, if you see what I mean. I mean, how on earth do we go about protecting that infrastructure when the metal itself has value?
I think that's going to be one of the biggest challenges that they will face in trying to revive PRASA. Even though that they have put securities in place, it's going to be difficult for them to guard each and every part of the railway. But I think the problem started when security contracts were cancelled, I think 2 years back. And this left a gap for criminals. They saw that there's value in railways. So by now it is going to be difficult for them to make sure that people stay away from railway lines and protect the infrastructure.
We keep seeing fights over who will run PRASA, fights around the CEO. The minister seems to be involved in all of that. Is that part of the problem? I mean, to rebuild an organisation, you actually need quite a big group of people all going in one direction on the same track. Is that the problem? We don't see that at PRASA.
I think it is a big problem at PRASA when it comes to management. And there's a lot of blame shifting when it comes to accountability. There's also lack of taking accountability for what is happening there. And the minister hasn't really done much in helping the situation, because things have gotten worse ever since he got there. I mean, in 2019, he did appoint Minsiter Mbalula as administrator at PRASA, which was found to have been unlawful by the Western Cape High Court. So the minister being there hasn't really improved the situation.
So Fikile Mbalula says he's trying to improve the system, and he's had, so many press conferences in the last few weeks. Do you really believe he can do that? I mean, this is a long-term problem. I would say to fix PRASA is probably going to take 10 years. I mean, I don't think Fikile Mbalula will be the Transport Minister in 10 years' time.
It's the issue of management is the biggest one at TRASA. No one is willing to take accountability, and it has been happening for a while now. And we've had those words before that things will improve, but they really haven't. And they don't have a solid plan in place to change the situation. And this was also echoed by Scopa, I think, last month when the TRASA board and Minsiter Fikile Mbalula appeared before it, that they don't seem to have a plan, and that's when they were given a mandate to report to Scopa every month to ensure that the plans that they say they have are implemented, and they are making progress with those.
So, I mean, it would seem that if you're someone who wants to use the national railway, if you want to use the railway system, the PRASA railway system, in many places you could be waiting for a little while. There is progress that we're seeing in certain places, but it's going to be a while before most people are able to use the railways again as maybe they did 10 years ago.
It is definitely going to take a while. I mean, as I said before, that when the security contracts were cancelled, that was a big deal for criminals. So they have to deal with that also, that now they know that they can make a lot of money by stealing railways. So they're going to continue doing that. And also there are places whereby people have erected structures within the railways. So they also have to deal with those things. So it's definitely going to take a while for them to get everything up and running.
Thank you, investigative reporter for the organization Corruption Watch. I do agree. I do appreciate the time. Well.